I would like to go ahead and introduce our presenter today. His name is Clint Funk, and he is an Adobe product evangelist. Now, without any further delay, I'm going to turn things over to Clint.
Thank you very much, Justin, and thank you everyone for attending today. I've got some pretty exciting news, I think. I was fortunate enough last week to attend the Big Macs conference. It was my first, and hopefully not the last, because it was pretty cool. And there was a big announcement about our new launch of the Creative Cloud and new tools, and so that's what today's webinar is about, to tell you what I learned at Macs last week. So here are the reasons that we are going to the Creative Cloud. Of course, we've been on the Creative Cloud actually for the past year, but we've got some new things now happening with the cloud. So these are all the reasons. The one that I typically focus on is mobile devices, because that's become such in a very short time, a very big part of all of our lifestyles. I remember when iPad first came out a couple of years ago, the initial response was like, well, that's kind of cool, but, that's great for the tech folks, but, how about the rest of us? And now I have found that it's pretty proliferating. I bought a new cell phone a couple of weeks ago, and they did everything on an iPad. I was talking to a teacher last week, and she was telling me it's all through all the schools, and she teaches in elementary school. So it's all over the place, of course, in businesses, and every time you go to Starbucks, you see people with iPads and other tablet devices. So to keep up with all that fast change in technology, we wanted to, and were requested to, give us more than you've been able to do in your traditional updates of either typically 12 or 18 months. So that's the main reason that we decided to go with the whole cloud thing, as well as making it easier to collaborate and provide more tools and all that. So the world changes, we have to change as well. So in the Creative Cloud, if you're not familiar with it, basically what it includes, and there's some new things here from what we've had over the past year, is it basically includes all of the master collection, so all of our creative tools, plus a few that are not part of the master collection. One example is Lightroom. Another example is Muse. And if you're not familiar with Muse, what it is a way to develop a website without any code. I think of it primarily as for print folks, and I come from a printing background myself, that don't really know HTML, don't know CSS, don't know Dreamweaver, but would like to get into web development. And Muse is a great place to kick that off and get started with it, because it's very InDesign-like, a tool that print folks are very familiar with. Also, along the third row down there, it starts with AN. Those are basically the Edge Animate family of tools. And Edge Animate gives you the ability to create animations and export those as HTML5 for both the web and tablet devices. Under Community, we recently purchased a company called Behance. And it's a community of designers where you can put up your work and get comments back on it, or you can use it for inspiration too, as I have done. If I'm working on a project and I've kind of come up against a creative block, I can take a look at what other people are doing, and hopefully that will inspire me to create some new fabulous thing for what I'm working on. Under the publishing column, the first thing, Customized Portfolio, is also part of Behance. It's called ProSite, and it gives you the ability to put your own portfolio together and put that up online. I'm a photographer as well, and I have not used that yet, but I do intend to. The second one down, Publish iPad Apps, is through our Digital Publishing Suite, or DPS as we call it, Single Edition. DPS Single Edition gives you the ability, as part of your membership, to publish unlimited amount of electronic documents for tablet devices and phones. One way to use this is, I'm Chicago-based, and I've worked with a number of the ad agencies here in Chicago, and with their cloud membership, I have suggested that they use that single edition publishing to the iPad as a proof of concept for some of their clients. So as an example, let's say their client is Big Pharma, and they've got a new drug for COPD. With the single edition, they're producing the printed version, so they can take those assets and put those into an electronic version as a proof of concept, show that to the client. Well, here's a way that we can do that. And the client said, well, yeah, we like that. That's a great way to market too. In fact, we'd like to have you do two versions of this. We want one internally for our sales folks when they go out and talk to physicians, and we'd like to have another one for the public to educate them about the COPD condition, and as well as how this drug might be able to help them out. So either the agency or the big pharma company would buy an enterprise license, and then the agency would get that additional work. So it's fun to play with too. That's a lot of what I've been doing, but I think it's a good business opportunity as well. You also get, as part of Business Catalyst, you get 5 hosted websites. So if you are developing a website in Muse or Dreamweaver and you need a place to host it that doesn't cost anything, it's part of your membership, Business Catalyst is where to go. The last one with the T down there is for Typekit, and that gives you access to hundreds of web fonts. I just last week at MAX learned that that also is going to be available for print as well. So you'll have access to hundreds of print fonts too. And I was told that if you purchase that whole package, we'd be talking around $25,000. So that's a pretty good deal as well as part of your cloud membership. Under Inspiration, the big thing here is the new products are continually updated. And I'm going to show you more about that in just a minute. But as new technologies come out, we can address them quickly rather than waiting for our traditional rev cycle of 12 to 18 months. They're immediately available, and I'll show you more about that. That particularly applies to design for new devices, which is one of the big reasons we're going this way, because technology, both hardware and software, is advancing so quickly, and we wanted a way to address that more effectively. Learning resources. On your Creative Cloud membership, there are a bunch of videos for all of our products that are in the Creative Cloud to help you learn. So they're tutorial, and they show you how to do things. At MAX, I was also talking to the manager of the Learning Resources section, and she was telling me that they're coming out with a bunch of new types of tutorials and educational material for how to use our products. So she didn't get into a lot of detail. We didn't have time, but I'm very excited to see what's going to be coming out with that soon. Enhance the inspiration aspect I already talked about, and support. Each member gets 2 calls to technical support every year. Now, I always recommend holding off on that until you have a real serious technical issue, because there are so many other resources to get information about our products. I just mentioned all the videos in the Creative Cloud itself. There's tv.adobe.com for videos on all of our products, even ones that aren't in the Creative Cloud. We've got blogs, we've got user groups, we've got forums, we've got knowledge base, we've got the user guide. So there's a lot of places that you can find information about these products and get your questions answered before you have to call support. So my recommendation, hold those back for a really technical issue that you need some help with. So here's what we did in the first year that Creative Cloud was out. Again, I'm just going to highlight a few of these. For example, last June, Lightroom 4 was added to it. Lightroom 5 will be added to it. It's now in beta. It will be added soon. In October, Acrobat 11 was released, and it was immediately added to the Creative Cloud membership. Those users that are still using CS6 Master Collection or any other version of CS6 are still using Acrobat 10. Last September, that Digital Publishing Suite Single Edition, unlimited versions of that was released. In December, there were some new Photoshop updates, which I immediately downloaded because I use Photoshop every day. So just a sampling, if you broke these all down, what it basically equates to is about 1 update in feature functionality or service per week over the past year. And this is our roadmap going forward. This is what we plan to do. We keep adding feature functionality, adding services to the cloud membership as we move forward. So specifically what was announced was the 15 new Creative Cloud apps that are exclusive to the Creative Cloud. These are available for all of our customer segments, and everything is going to be added into the Creative Cloud. CS6 is the last of the Creative Suite. There will be no CS7. It's all going to go to the cloud. CS6 will still be available for some period, years down the road, so you can still have that perpetual license at CS6, but it will not be updated. There will be no more feature functionality to it. If there are bug fixes, those will happen. It still will be supported and still will be available, but it won't be upgraded. Everything now is going to the cloud. So that was really what the big announcement was all about last week. This is, again, just a sampling of some of the new feature functionality that has been added to the Creative Cloud application. Again, I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. One that I find particularly interesting is the first one, the camera shake reduction in Photoshop. As I said, I'm a photographer. I have some long lenses, and sometimes it's hard to hold those long lenses and keep the image steady. So I'm hoping when I have some time to go through some of my old images that I thought were unusable that I can fix with this camera shake reduction. It's actually pretty cool. Adobe Illustrator adds a touch type tool, so I can do more creative things with type and make my designs more interesting. Another one that I'm big on is InDesign, because again, I use that all the time. It's now 64-bit, so it gives me faster performance, and I'm pretty excited about that. So there's something for everybody here, and this is just, like I said, a sampling of what's new in the new apps. Another thing that's been requested for a long time, and frankly, I'm pretty happy about this as well, is the ability to take settings and styles and fonts from older applications and move them into your Creative Cloud app so you don't have to redo it. Using an InDesign as an example, I always go through my preferences on InDesign and the other apps too and set them up the way that I like to work. I also set styles and fonts, things I regularly use. I don't want to have to reset all that. Actually, not as anybody else, because it takes time. Now I can just load those into my new apps, and that's a big time saver and convenience. So I'm happy about that. It's been requested for a long time. Also, this is new as well. In the Creative Cloud currently, if you want to go to the Creative Cloud and download apps and stuff, you need to go to the Creative Cloud. There will be now, with the release, a desktop app that you can do everything from the desktop without having to go into the cloud, because it does log in, but there is a desktop app. So in the first example, I've got Photoshop and Illustrator installed. They're both up to date, but I've not installed Acrobat, Muse, and Premiere, and some of the other applications too. So if I want to, I just click on Install. It'll download that, and then you can go ahead and install that. Here's an example of Behance, where you can get comments. Like I said, use this for inspiration. Here's an example of some updates. So there's an update to Photoshop. I can go ahead and update that. Now these are just patches. You're not downloading all of Photoshop again. It's just a patch to load in. And here's the Creative Cloud homepage. And you can see up at the top, we've got the apps, the file storage in there, fonts, and Behance. So here's what we're calling everything. We're not numbering things. Like I said, CS6 is the end of the Creative Suite. From here forward, everything will be called CC. So Photoshop CC, Illustrator CC, InDesign CC, of course, the Creative Cloud. We really couldn't number them anymore because they're going to be incrementally updated rather than a rev version every year, 18 months. So Creative Cloud for Teams is specifically for groups of people that are working together. It adds to all the things that I talked about earlier, all the feature functionality, apps, services, all of that, easier administration. Purchasing and licensing management is much easier, and I'm going to take you through that. Deployment is much easier with a new tool that we have called Creative Cloud Packager. Each user gets 100 gigabytes of storage to store files on in the cloud. That's really the only place the cloud, other than downloading the apps and such, applies, because you are still installing Photoshop and all on your computer. It's not running in the cloud there. And that increased support that I mentioned earlier. And this is the new Creative Cloud Packager. For IT, if they're going to push out the applications, if their users don't have admin rights and can't download and install the applications themselves, IT does that. The packager allows them to create separate packages for different groups. So as an example, I've got a print group over here, and they are using InDesign and Photoshop and Illustrator. And then I got a web group over here, and they're using Dreamweaver and Photoshop. So with the packager as IT, I can download those applications. I can package up InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator, push that out, deploy it the way I traditionally have to the print folks. And on the website, I'll package up Dreamweaver and Photoshop and deploy that out to the web folks the way that I have traditionally done. So again, we try to make this easy and simple for IT. The big reasons we think that it's pretty exciting out there is we have the 15 new Creative Cloud apps there. The second one I think is really key, always the latest and always on the same version. I was talking to a company yesterday, and they were using Creative Suite back to CS3, and they had all the intervening versions up to CS6. One of the big headaches then for them was managing all those licenses and the help desk calls that they were getting. They had to be, have all of those apps to test out and answer help desk questions. Well, we saw that it would be a big advantage if everyone was on the same version. In fact, we even commissioned a study to study that, and they found that 43% of the help desk time was reduced by 43% by having everybody on the same version. So really, we feel that this is going to be a big time and money saver. You do get that centralized administration of licenses. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and the packager that I just referred to. So here is the new licensing program with Creative Cloud for Teams. It's called the VIP program, Value Incentive Plan. So if you're familiar with our traditional licensing programs, TLP, CLP, and Enterprise Agreement, VIP program has all of those things, plus you get that low cost of entry because it is a monthly subscription. You get the latest applications and services, and it's easy to purchase and add. I'm going to show you how to do that. So in a nutshell, VIP program is a subscription membership-based plan where the subscriptions are prorated and renewed annually. They're available for all of the customer segments. And right now, Creative Cloud is the only product that's available through VIP. Now, what I expect next, and what I'm hearing is going to happen next, is Acrobat will be added to the VIP program in a separate cloud. With Acrobat, it'll be Acrobat and some services, but you'll still be able to purchase a perpetual license for Acrobat as well. And I expect that to come out later this year. I have not been told a date or anything, but that's the next thing that I expect to see added to the VIP program. Going further, you may see some other things too. I have not been told about any of those yet. So here's basically how you get started with the VIP program. You'll get an invite to join it. You will click here to accept that. You'll get your terms and conditions will come up, your T's and C's. You'll go ahead and accept that. You're now part of the program. You'll click on the admin console. You'll accept the terms of use. Your VIP number is created. Your anniversary is established, and everyone gets notified. Here's your letter, which you've been accepted, which is not a big deal. The VIP number is the key number. There is no more serializing either. It's all done through the VIP number. So no more serial numbers to manage, which again we think will save time and problems with losing stuff and all that often happens. Certainly it's happened to me. What's going to happen with compliance is that every 30 days your users are going to hit an Adobe server. And it's going to verify that they are members in good standing of the Creative Cloud. It's totally invisible to the user, but that will be happening. So just that VIP number and your anniversary date are the key things there. So if the director of IT, let's say, sets this up, accepts the VIP, but then wants somebody else to manage on a day-to-day basis, they can assign other members of their staff to be an administrator. So it's as easy as putting in their name and their email address and clicking done. Again, trying to keep this as simple as we possibly could. Then, of course, that administrator is going to want to get some seats and get them out and deployed. So you'll click on the plus, add the seats. You'll click to request the seats, put in your PO number, and authorize the purchase of those seats. Then, of course, you'll want to assign them. And that's as easy as going in and putting in an email address and inviting the user. You can send out a personalized message, and then the user will get that. They'll accept the invitation, and then they can either start downloading and installing the software themselves, or IT will be able to push it out to them. Another advantage to Teams is if someone leaves over the course of the year and you need to revoke their membership in the Creative Cloud. Very easy to do. You select the person that left, check them off, click revoke. They no longer will have access to those apps. And then you want to invite, so you're going to switch it over to somebody else. In this case, Fernando is replacing the person that left. So it's as easy putting in their email address and inviting the user, going through that same initial process again. So again, try to keep this very simple and clean. So best practices: keep one VIP number, work with one reseller, use your PO number. We do have, and they can get out to you, a team overview and some deployment and some other pieces that are available as well. So we'll make those available to you too. So do we have any questions?
Let's see. So Jeff asked, how can my family, friends, agents, and others open my DNG PSD files 10, 20, 30 years from now? Will they all need to pay Adobe a monthly fee to open those files?
Well, well, it depends on what they are. If they're image files, Photoshop and stuff, or image files that were created with Photoshop, if they were saved as TIFF or JPEG, they wouldn't need to open that. If it's an INDD or something like that, yes, they probably would. If it's a PDF, there'd be the reader. So it all depends kind of on what it is. But image files shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. So there will not. This match is kind of clarifying here. So there are not going to be any updates or new versions for the Creative Suite.
Correct.
Outside of the cloud.
Correct.
Okay. They're coming fast and furious now. Okay. If I have a subscription now, can they be moved over and moved into or rolled under the VIP program?
If she has an individual Creative Cloud subscription, that can be put under the VIP program. There's a way to do that. It should be become a member of Teams, because individual is not part of Teams, but yes, there is a way to roll that in.
Okay. So if I manage the VIP subscription, are there volume discount prices based on how many team members I add?
No, we do have promotional pricing right now. It's $39.99 per seat per month, and that promotional pricing will go through the end of August. And then it goes to, for the rest of the year, to $49.99 per user per month.
Okay. Are seats per user or per device?
Per user.
Does Packager work with PCs and Macs?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, Todd asked, can you store data on the computer, or do you have to use the online storage?
No, you absolutely can store files on the computer. No, you do not have to use the online storage. It's just it's a repository, so you do not have to put things in there. In some cases, I've talked to companies where they don't allow off-site storage like that, so it can be blocked. You can block the port, so they wouldn't be able to go there at all. So no, it's just it's another place you can keep things. And personally, to me, I always keep a copy on my computer, and then I've got stuff in the cloud as well. But I've always got a backup on the computer, and then I back up those backups too. See what can happen.
If your internet connection goes down, you can still work on the Creative Cloud, correct?
Correct. If one question I got asked yesterday was, suppose somebody's going to the jungle for 60 days and no internet connection, none of that, will they be able to use it? What you'd want to do in that case is call customer service and let them know that you're not going to have connection for 60 days or whatever period, and they will they'll set it up so that won't be a problem. But otherwise, generally, they would need to phone home every 30 days.
Right. Can the registration be used on two machines, like one at home and one at work, but not at the same time?
Yes.
And
it can be either Mac or Windows. So if you're working on Windows at work and you got a Mac at home, you can install the appropriate version.
Does the administrator have access to the online storage should they need the data?
No.
No.
Right now, it is only the user can give the, to allow to share by file. So the user's in total control of that. So IT will not have access to that at this point, at least. That could change, but not right now.
Okay. Can we upgrade from perpetual licenses to the cloud, to Creative Cloud?
Yes, that promotional price is basically an upgrade price.
Okay. And can we purchase single app like Photoshop only as subscription, or is a single app still offered as perpetual license?
You will be able to subscribe to individual applications soon. I don't have a timeline on that, but soon that will be available. What I understand is it's $29.99, like for Photoshop or Illustrator or InDesign or whatever else. So Adobe is really pushing, because if you do two, you've more than paid for the cloud. So Adobe is really pushing the cloud and pricing it that way. But yes, it is possible, or will be soon, to subscribe to individual apps.
Okay. Is there disk-based installers for computers that can never be connected to the internet?
Not yet. That's another thing that we're looking at and figuring out how to do it, but not at this point, no.
Okay. And then can we share one subscription to two different people, like in the web group, print group example?
No.
No.
No, it is by user, not by machine. It is by user. So each individual user with their own email address and own password.
Okay. Is the cloud sharing approved for DoD use? Can we use the software without enabling any of the cloud sharing features?
No.
Okay.
That's again something we're looking at in a lockdown environment like DoD or some financial institutions, that kind of thing. We're trying to figure out a solution to that. Or we are figuring out a solution to that, but it's not available yet.
Let's see. I'm trying to go back out that. Let's see. If I leave Adobe, if I leave the cloud or the subscription, what happens to my DNG and PSD files? I think he's asking if he comes back, what happens if they're still there?
They're still there. It won't, authenticate.
Right.
So it's installed on your computer. It's just you try to use it, and you'll get a message that you can't use this until you subscribe again.
Right. Okay. I'm just trying to sift through some of these. Does Creative Cloud application support Apple Share servers?
I don't know. You got me on that one. I'm not even sure how that works. So exactly.
Okay. Maybe we'll follow up on that one. So Michael's asking so all the money we spent on licenses in the past are gone, and the person who never bought a license will get the same intro offer. That's kind of true anytime you buy a.
No, actually, the intro low price, as I understand it, is for upgrades. A new user would be paying a higher price.
Oh, okay. Is there? I know the answer to this one, but I'll let you go for it. Can you clarify this? Is there a different Creative Cloud for individuals versus organizations that have many CC users?
Yes. There is Creative Cloud for individuals, and there is Creative Cloud for teams. So an individual, again, it's licensed per person. So if you bought a individual license in your company and that person leaves, they get their membership goes with them. And if you paid, the upfront year, then they've got a lovely parting gift of, however long the rest of the year is to use those applications.
Okay.
It does make a lovely parting gift. Found that not every company wanted to provide that lovely parting gift, though.
Will the $39.99 be the monthly fee from here forward, or does it change to $49.99 after 12 months?
It changes to $49.99 on September 1st. That will be the price until December 31st. And then I'm kind of hearing different things. What I thought was going to happen, but I'm hearing different things. I'm not sure on this. The regular price, which they initially came out with for teams, was $69.99. And so that's what I was hearing was going to happen next year. But now I'm not quite so sure on that because I keep hearing different things. And so that's yet to be determined. I don't think it'll be more expensive unless they, threw in some outrageous other things. But I can't see it being more than that, kind of with less. But we'll see.
Okay. If you have only 2 people using cloud, do you suggest use separate licensing, or she said VIP, but I think she means team?
I would go because of the individual issue of the individual leaving and taking their membership with them. I would suggest even for 2, going with teams and doing the going through the VIP program and all that. Just largely, 2 people obviously aren't difficult to manage. But with somebody leaving and taking the software with them, that's the big issue there, I think, as I see it at least.
Okay. Randy asked, what does it stop a user from having 4 Macs and 1 license and then having different individuals working at once?
Well, it's going to hit the server and see that you've got more installations on there than is legal, and it's not going to let you use it on 4 Macs. So you'll have to log in, and you won't be able to. You don't want Adobe Police showing up at your door. It's very
so the Photoshop only price, is that the intro price, or is that the price a year?
That's the price per month. There's no intro price on that. That's just the price.
Okay.
I see one where Marty's saying, so Acrobat isn't part of this at all. And no, Acrobat is definitely included with the cloud. It's just, I didn't make that clear. We have a lot of business users, of course, that aren't creative and don't need Photoshop and all the other tools. So Acrobat will be a separate just for those folks, but it's also part of the Creative Cloud. I'm sorry, go ahead. I just saw that one.
No, it's okay. If I need to use the software on Mary's user account at our company, can I log in as that user and access use of the apps?
Assuming that Mary gave you her password.
Yeah.
Usually, well, let me give you this example. When I was at Max, they had labs set up for some of the different sessions that I attended. So what you had to do was you go in as part of Max when you when you got your went to Max, you got a year of the Creative Cloud, and so you then use your email address and Adobe password to access the app. So if it was a Photoshop session and the hands-on thing, so you log in with your own personal thing, and then at the end they ask you everybody to log out, which I did, not everybody else did, but I did, and then they'd restart everything and kind of wipe it out, and then next group would come in, they would log in with their personal email and password. That makes sense.
So Gary kind of asked a follow-up question. So as IT, I can change the password to access her PC, but it's a password for the cloud too, right? There's a separate login when you log into the cloud?
Correct.
Or is it stay on that machine?
No, it's a separate. Well, I mean, it can, remember to a point, but yeah, you'll have to log in. In the case of, so I log into the computer itself, and then I could log in to somebody else's. I think this is what he's getting at. I could log into somebody else's computer, and then I could log in with my own Adobe ID and password to actually use the apps on someone else's machine.
Mm.
If that's
okay. Can we log out from one computer and onto another, like the current Photoshop? I think it's talking about how many installs do you have, and can you use them concurrently?
Yeah, you get 2 installs, and yeah, you could log in on one and not another.
Okay. Can IT admins roll back updates?
Not exactly. What you need to do is when you initially get the cloud, you're going to get a DMG or an MSI to roll out. I would save that, and then you manage the updates. As IT, you manage the updates, so you could decide not to update something, but I would keep the original there because that will be as far back as you can go. Then later, if you add, let's say another person comes in, so you buy another license, and they download the software, they're going to have the latest with all the updates in it. So, and if you need to roll that back because you're using some, plugins or other third-party stuff that hasn't been tested yet or doesn't work with the newest version, you've still got that older version there that you could deploy.
So can you subscribe for a month or 2 at a time, or is it by the year?
By the year.
And what is the new user price?
Believe
Bit of
that
intro.
$69.99.
Okay. With Creative Cloud for Teams, how do you manage users adding, deleting, switching? Is there a limit to the number of times a particular user is switched on and off?
Not that I'm aware of. You manage users adding, deleting. Again, it's managed by the individual and by their email and password. I don't know of a limit. I suppose if it was started hitting a server like some really weird number, that might cause a red flag to go up. But
Okay.
at this point, yeah, you can switch back and forth.
Subscription is not transferable once purchased for one individual. I think on CC Creative Cloud for individuals, that's correct, but not for teams.
Correct.
Let's see here. Ellen's a little unclear about, can you buy 2 subscriptions and have 2 different people using concurrently at different times?
Yeah. Sure. 2 licenses, 2 people. Yeah. No problem.
And so it's a monthly fee, but an annual cloud subscription. What's the billing cycle, monthly or annually?
The billing cycle is annually.
Okay. Is there a discount for nonprofit organizations?
Yes. Don't ask me how much because I don't know. There's a discount for, I mean, that's your question.
Yeah, I don't.
It's government and education and nonprofits. There is a discounted price, but I don't remember exactly what it is. But talk to your reseller. They know all those answers.
Yeah, my
account manager.
My resource for that is not around right now. Do any files related to the design of a document images, fonts have to be stored on the cloud, or can they reside on a network server in our office?
Say the first part of that again.
Do any files related to the design of a document, images, fonts have to be stored in the cloud, or can they reside on a network server in our office?
Got it. No, you do not have to use that cloud storage. It's an additional benefit. You can definitely keep everything local. No problem at all. So you're not forced to use the cloud. And as I said, if some people don't want, or some companies don't want the cloud used, which certainly run up against that, there is a port that IT can block, so they don't have access to it.
So it looks like Gary just wants to be clear. If we purchase, sounds like if we need to purchase for teams versus individuals to follow the switching on and off for users to ensure that we can continue to have people fill in for those main marketing persons on vacations, and when you need to have a document done as soon as possible. Would that be correct?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
As I'm understanding his question. Or like I'm thinking, well, the vacation thing is a decent scenario, or like I've got a first and second shift, as an example. So I'd have two licenses, first and second shift, two different people are using the same machine. So I'd have two licenses, one for first shift, one for second shift, and they would each log in with their own ID, just like they would log in on the computer itself.
Okay, so still have a question about if you purchase Creative Cloud for individuals, it is not transferable, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. Can IT change a user's password for the cloud to be able to access the user's cloud files after that user has left the company?
No. Because each user has their own password. I suppose if they told you what the password was, I suppose you could. But there's no overriding way to do that.
So if in a team scenario, someone stores something in the cloud and you switch them off, they get removed, there's no way to access those files?
They'll be able to access them for, I guess, 90 days. That a user can still access their files if they aren't a member anymore to get their stuff off.
But if the files are the company's?
Right, unless IT has their personal Adobe ID password, they won't be able to access that.
Okay.
We are looking at other solutions to that, but we don't have them yet.
Okay. Brian says, I was told that blocking the port to block the cloud storage also blocked all updates and the monthly licensing check. Is that not the case now?
Not that I was aware of. No, I thought, that as I understand it, that's a separate port. So as I understand it, no, I think that is not the case now.
Okay.
I should double check on that one. But.
Gary's asking, with Creative Cloud for Teams, you can switch users on the fly, correct?
Yes. Well,
okay.
I mean, depending on what he's meaning by on the fly, but yeah, that revoking. Right here. So revoke an invitation and then invite a new user. I guess that's what he means.
Okay. Lisa is asking, if you reassign a seat, the old users do not have access after 90 days or immediately? You're saying they had access after 90 days to their files that were on the cloud, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you know what the team pricing is versus the individual pricing for upgrades? Is it the same?
The individual, I think right now, $39.99 for teams, and I think it's $29.99 for individual right now.
Okay.
Promotional price.
If all the applications will always be called CC without version numbers, how will we know if third-party plugins will be compatible?
You'll have to check with the third party and see if they've updated. And that's why I was suggesting earlier that when you initially, get this, keep those original downloads so if you have to go back, you can. I mean, it's the same thing that IT typically does of a testing environment before they pass that update on to users out there. But again, I would emphasize keeping that original install in case you do have to go back. So if it gets updated, you didn't like accidentally or something, or you find out down the road that some plugin doesn't work.
In the team environment, when the admin creates user accounts, do they assign the password, or can users change the password when they desire, or is it fixed?
Users are the ones that typically do it. They go into adobe.com and create an Adobe password. They can change that if they want to. I suppose IT could, go in and do it for them, I guess.
Okay.
So they'd have a record of it, I guess.
Yeah. Can we have a CS55 user move to the cloud and then use that copy of 55 for someone else in the office who doesn't need the cloud?
Yeah, sure.
So Gary's asking a follow-up question. Here's a scenario: do I have to purchase for a temp user? The temp user is a full-time employee, not full-time in marketing, but have the skills to use the programs, but will only need access occasionally. But we have to purchase their access separately in addition to the two we have full-time in marketing?
Yeah, you'd need 3 licenses for that.
Unless you want to do a lot of revoking and unassigning and inviting users.
Right. Yeah. We get a bit impractical, it seems like, but
yeah.
Yeah, because it is every user by the EULA should have have their own license.
Right. Sue asked the question. I think if an individual is working with files in the cloud, can another individual access those files if they are part of the same enterprise? If they're the team?
Only if the user that has the file gives them, shares that with them.
Oh, so you can share access for files on the cloud?
I can share access to a file.
I
can't share access to my cloud.
Got it.
Now, soon we'll be able to share access to folders. So if I'm working on a project and I put, an InDesign file in there and some Photoshop files and some Illustrator files, I soon will be able to share that folder. But I can't share at this point, I can't share anything more than a file. I can share multiple files, but I have to go in individually and say, okay, Joe can share this file, and Sue can share that file, and Jim can share the other file.
Okay.
I have to, download it, make comments on it.
And then, is there any way to pay kind of an ad hoc basis, or is it all going to be yearly subscriptions? Like if you needed to just use it for like a month or something.
Then you probably just go with individual.
Okay, so individually you can do monthly, but teams are yearly.
Yeah, that's my credit card.
Yeah,
So
got it. Okay.
I'm going to have to jump off here in about 3 minutes.
Okay.
So, I mean, if there are questions that haven't been answered, you know, and you want to send them on to me, I can email back. I've got another event to do.
Okay. I'll stick around and try to answer any questions for anybody, but and then if I don't have the answers, I'll forward them on to Clint. And then, well, we appreciate everybody coming on. And like I said, thank you all for joining us. Thanks, Clint, for presenting, and I'll stick around for a little bit longer. If you have any further questions, I'll either try to find the answer myself, or I'll get them out to Clint to answer for you.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Clint.